Do you think there will ever be a time when he is out of office where he will be held accountable?
Oh yes, absolutely. I think Jack Smith and others are just waiting. Once he's out of office, absolutely. There's so much crime that he committed that is beyond the scope of official presidential duties.
There's a guy I've been watching, listening to, at least reading his tweets on social media. On social media, he is known as Agent Self FBI. The reason why he's not giving out his name on this show, well, I'll get to that, but he voted for Donald Trump back in 2016, and he voted for Joe Biden. And he's been a Republican his entire life. He's a financial crimes investigator and a forensic auditor. He currently lives in New York, and he wants to be anonymous, and we'll get into that because of doxing and otherwise. So I'm going to call him Agent Self FBI because that's what he calls himself on social media, and he has a pretty large following on social media. Mr. Agent Self FBI, how's it going, my friend?
It is going well. How are you?
I am doing good. Did I describe you to the best of my ability? Am I correct on that? Is there anything I'm missing?
Yeah, 100%. I'll make really clear. I do not work for the FBI. I've never been involved with the FBI in that capacity. The name Agent Self actually comes from a TV show I like called Prison Break.
Gotcha.
Don Self.
Gotcha.
So I just ran with that.
Gotcha. So you've been a Republican your entire life. You voted for Donald Trump in 2016. What changed for you? What changed?
Look at what's happening now. But honestly, so here's kind of a quick high-level overview. So back in 2015, he was running. I'm like, okay, cool. I wasn't really into politics. I was really focused on my career, life. Let's change it up. Let's see what happens. I was tired of the status quo, so I voted for Trump. And then I really started paying attention. I had in friends, and this is when I lived out in Utah. I had friends invite me to rallies, and we would go to these rallies, and they just progressively got worse. And then so after, during COVID, the BLM riots, the protests and things of that nature, these people would go to counter protest BLM, and they would show up, assault rifles, AR-15s, fully loaded. They would be in armor plate vests. They would wear masks to conceal their identity. There was a mixture of them that were cops. There was a mixture of them that were parole officers, rather. There was a mixture of them that were prison guards. And the hate and disgust that I saw in that group is really when I started paying attention. And then just the adoption of conspiracy theories that the left is somehow this elitist pedophile group that's trying to usher in communism, socialism, Marxism, whatever Fox News buzzwords you want to throw on that. And that really started pissing me off. And just to see them move towards an authoritarian, what I call regime, is really what changed my mind. Gotcha. I've been, you know what I mean? So I'll leave it there. If you have any questions, we can drill down. But that's really what changed me there.
Makes sense to me. And you've been a lifelong Republican, right? Is that fair to say?
That is correct.
Why do you think you have? I mean, you have a pretty large following on social media. Why do you think that is?
I think it resonates with people. I had posted a kind of a story about my journey politically, and I think that resonated with a lot of people. I have a lot of Democrats who follow me. I think we're so used to populism and tribalism that it's really weird for them to see someone who is a Republican, who does have conservative values, not support the person in running that party. And my argument is MAGA is not a conservative movement. They're an authoritarian movement. They have broken away from the Republican Party that I know and wrapped themselves in a flag. They're cosplaying Republicans, essentially.
I agree with you there. Can you explain to some of my listeners here today why you didn't? I think I know the answer, but explain to them why you didn't want to go on video and why you don't want to give out your full name.
Partly with my career as a financial crimes investigator. I run a team of financial crimes investigators, and it's corporate, it's white collar crimes, it's auditing financial statements. There's money laundering involved that touches human trafficking, weapon smuggling, drug smuggling, and other financial crimes. That's one part of it. I serve as an expert witness in some cases in trials. And then the other case is MAGA. I have been doxxed before.
Mm.
When I was living out in Utah a couple of years ago, I was doxxed, and people would show up at my house or harass me or try to go to my employer. So that's why.
I'm sorry to hear that. Nobody deserves that. I'm sorry to hear that. So since you are a financial crimes investigator and this is your expertise, I'm just curious to get your opinions on Qatar handing Donald Trump a $400 million plane and MAGA Republicans claiming there's nothing to see here. This is a gift to the government. What do you say to that?
From a money laundering perspective, that's it. It's quid pro quo. You don't get that kind of assets or money or whatever you want to call it without giving something up. It's beyond ridiculous. When you look at people who commit financial crimes, this is exactly the way they would try to do it. You have one that tries to do it covertly, and then you have people that do it overtly. That's out in the open, and they use that to describe as, well, it's not wrong. I'm doing it out in the open and being transparent, so it's okay.
Yeah,
it's absolutely. It's a huge problem that the president of the United States, who he once criticized for harboring and funding 9/11 terrorists, is now taking a $400 million plane and propping it up as a gift.
Yeah,
and he takes it with him when he leaves office.
See, that's what that's what I believe. I want to ask you about that, because there are some people that actually think that he's just going to hand over this $400 million jet to some sort of library or something for people to stare at. And I've been telling people that's not going to happen. He probably won't fly this plane as president, but as a gift to him, I think he's going to take the plane. I really, truly believe that. What explain that to people?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, you're not going to take a civilian aircraft and retrofit it in 6 months to be a presidential fleet aircraft. That's billions of dollars. I mean, I won't go into all the systems that you would have to install, but it's not going to be ready. It's not saving us plane because we're waiting for Boeing to finish their product. It's a trophy for Trump. He's a narcissist. It's a trophy for him. It's going to his personal foundation library fund, not the one associated with NARA. It'll be his asset. It's his plane. It's a gift. It's a trophy. That's that.
So when somebody says this is not a gift to him, it's a gift to the government, what is your specific response to that?
I think that might be a good argument if the intent was to keep the plane in the presidential fleet and owned by the State Department for governmental use. Yeah, you might have an argument there, but absolutely not.
Yeah,
that's not what's happening.
I tend to agree with you. Do you believe what I believe in is that there was some market manipulation when Donald Trump put this pause on these tariffs? You have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene making boatloads of money. I believe insider trading. As someone who does this for a living, as you do you believe that this was market manipulation and Donald Trump told some of his close confidants?
Oh, absolutely. We deal in this insider trading crime all the time. And so it doesn't matter if it's in the tech industry or where it's at. Hey, we're going to make an announcement. It's going to either tank or it's going to blow up the stock market, dump or invest. I'm going to make the announcement later. Say people will do that. They'll act on that. So this wasn't coincidence. Margaret Taylor Greene has never invested into I don't recall the company that she invested into right before, but the timing is perfect. The opportunity was there. The motive was there. It's 100% intentional.
Agree. If you're just joining us, he is known as Agent Self FBI on X. He is a financial crimes investigator, a lifelong Republican who voted for Donald Trump back in 2016, but like me, is the opposite on that end right now. Even though I didn't vote for Trump, I didn't vote for Hillary either in 2016. And he's joining us right now on the line. Can you explain to people, because I get this from MAGA Republicans all the time when they say, well, Donald Trump didn't accept his salary, a $400,000 a year salary, so he's out for the American people. Can you explain all the stuff that has been happening behind the scenes, or even the crypto scandal, and how much money Donald Trump has actually made from being president of the United States?
I don't even know where to start with that. Everything he's doing is a grift. Okay. So he recently went to in the Middle East, just coming back from that. He's claiming that is to do U.S. business, but at the same time, he's got real estate deals popping up. He's got the $5.5 billion golf resort going up in Qatar. I mean, Saudi Arabia has got allowing him to build a tower there. And so he's out there doing these relationships to profit himself. That's it. He even used his office, the Oval Office, to broker a deal between the PGA Tour and the Live Golf Tour to merge.
Yep.
I mean, he's doing this for himself.
Yeah.
And anybody who denies that is blind or just being ignorant.
Completely agree with you on that one. So, you're a lifelong Republican, and if somebody had asked me 10 years ago what Republicans stood for, I think I'd have a pretty good idea of what they stand for. I think I still know what Democrats stand for. I think for the most part, and I'm being very general here, but they stand for equality, women's rights, the ability for the women to do what they want with their own bodies, tax breaks for the rich, healthcare for all. I mean, Democrats, for the most part, believe in today what they still believed in 10 years ago. But if you ask me what Republicans believe in now, I don't even know. I would say banning books. I would say going after the trans community. I would say going after drag queen reading and not talking about the real issues that Americans actually care about, which is the economy and putting food on the table. I mean, as a Republican yourself, a lifelong Republican, what the hell do Republicans stand for today? Because I feel like it's been completely hijacked by Donald Trump.
It has been. And, I'll say it like this, and I hope this makes sense. I think the Democratic Party and the Republican Party is like a Formula One race car. You have the engine and the progressive to go forward and to go fast. That's the Democratic Party. And then you have the braking system, which is the Republican Party. We want to make sure that we're being conservative fiscally. We want to make sure that we're not going too fast. We want to make sure that we're not expanding government overreach from that. So working together, they need to function to move the government forward for policy. But that's not the case anymore. I can't tell you what the Republican Party as we know today stands for because it has been hijacked. They stand for strict immigration controls. I mean, everybody here who's a brown person is an enemy and it's an invasion, and they want to roll back progressive policies. They think America peaked in 1950. They're afraid of change. And it scares them. They're afraid of being left out, and they are being left out because they don't want to move forward with the rest of society.
What do you say to a fellow Republican who has different views than you that considers themselves an all-in MAGA Republican who would tell you that's not true? Donald Trump is America first. How do you respond to that?
This is something I get all the time. And I kind of turn it back on them. What is their idea of America first? We can't isolate ourselves in the global scheme. I mean, we're global now. Isolating ourselves will cut us off from trade. Economically, it's going to be devastating to us. And, when we think about the mixing pot of the world, immigrants work here, they have jobs, they work in agriculture, they work in construction. How are we not putting America first by benefiting from the global trade and the global system of people? How does that hurt America? And I don't even know what America first means anymore from their perspective. To me, it's authoritarian and me first. And if people don't look or think like me, then they're the enemy.
Completely agree with you. How do you see this thing going over the next 3.5 years? I mean, I look at the first 3 months of Donald Trump's administration. By the way, some of the lowest poll numbers in American history when it comes to the first 100 days. And some people are celebrating the fact that, stocks are coming back a little bit. But at the same time, when you see all the people in this country that have lost their jobs because of these tariffs, when you see people not getting due process, last I checked in the Constitution, and you being a lifelong Republican, I'm sure you talk about the Constitution a lot. It doesn't say that if you're undocumented, you don't get those same rights. It says any person. It doesn't say whether they're documented or undocumented. What do you make of the fact that there are literally people in this country, including 4-year-olds with cancer, that are legal citizens that are being deported? What do you make of that?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, you're exactly right. The 14th Amendment, 5th Amendment is very clear. Due process applies to everybody here on U.S. soil, whether you're a citizen or not. The party that wants to cry rule of law and their constitutional patriots are violating it, and they're okay with it because it's against the people they don't like. But here's what I see happening. First, the political pendulum always swings. It's going to go right, it's going to go left, it's going to go further right, and it's going to go further left. And so it's myopic to think that MAGA is going to be in power forever. They're not going to be. It's going to be a dramatic shift in the next 4 to 8 years. And so all the precedent that they're setting now with ignoring court orders, violating people's due process because Trump thinks somebody's the enemy, just imagine a far left extremist person gets elected in the office because that pendulum swings. It doesn't even have to be far left, but whoever the next left president is, they start, hey, I'm declaring a national emergency. We're confiscating everyone's AR-15s and banning the sale. I can do that because I think that it's a problem and it's an emergency, and I'm the president, and I don't care what the courts say. I'm going to ignore it, right? That's what's going to happen. There's going to be a come up. And when the next president starts issuing policy through executive order and changing the government and ignoring court orders, they're going to want that separation of powers. Mm-hmm. They're going to suddenly respect the separation of powers and want the judicial branch to step in and do something. They're setting that precedent right now. And everything that Trump is doing, every future president is going to be able to do. And if they think they're going to be in power forever, they're in for some super pain. To get to what will happen in the next 3 years, I personally believe that the Republicans are going to get cleaned out in the midterms.
Let's hope so.
And that'll be and that'll be telling what's going to happen in the next general.
As a financial crimes investigator, do you feel like there will be accountability for Donald Trump? Will he ever be punished for the crimes that he committed? Particularly, there's plenty of crimes that he hasn't been held accountable for, in my opinion, but particularly the 34 count felonies that he was found guilty of. Do you think there will ever be a time when he is out of office where he will be held accountable?
Oh yes, absolutely. I think Jack Smith and others are just waiting. Once he's out of office, absolutely. There's so much crime that he committed that is beyond the scope of official presidential duties. I absolutely think that. Whether or not he's going to be put in prison, I don't know. But I think there will definitely be accountability. I think it's going to be a massive storm that comes, to use MAGA's word. The storm is coming. But absolutely.
Let's hope so, my friend. Mr. Agent Self FBI, great follow on social media. Please check him out. And I'd love to have you back on again to get your perspective, my friend. I really do appreciate your time, and stay safe out there. And we will talk to you soon, my friend. Have a great weekend.
Hey, likewise. Thank you.
Appreciate that. There you go. He is Agent Self FBI on Twitter. He does not give his name out in fear of retribution and doxing from MAGA Republicans. He's a lifelong Republican who is a financial crimes investigator and forensic auditor. Pretty important job he has. And again, we're talking to a lifelong Republican who voted for Donald Trump in 2016. Sounds like a really smart guy. And he has seen the light, and he understands the threat that Donald Trump poses to this country. And we really do appreciate him for taking the time to join us. Really good guest. And we'd love to have him on again at some point down the road.